Joining us now, Morgan Ortagus, former Senator Scott Brown, Mike Shields, and Katrina Pierson. Katrina, let me start with you because a lot of scuttlebutt already about Donald Trump, your guy holding a presser tonight at 9 p.m. So give us a little hint what we could expect.
Well, I think what we're going to see, Charles, is Mr. Trump really address some of the things that have been happening. We've seen an unprecedented orchestrated attack on Mr. Trump. When you have the Republican establishment pulling liberal tactics and playing the race card, it is quite interesting to see what's happening, and you'll probably see Mr. Trump address it.
All right, well, I'm glad you brought that up. Mike Shields, we talked, by the way, welcome to the studio. You know, Donald Trump and his love affair, hate affair with the media, we understand. A lot of times it feels like maybe he gets baited into these things, but certainly he accepts the bait. Where do you think this is all going to play out? It never hurts him with his core voters, but we always talk about where do you go from there? Can you broaden the base with this kind of stuff always going on?
Well, I think it's hard to say that Donald Trump has a bad relationship with the media. I don't know if I've seen a candidate with a more symbiotic relationship with the media.
Have you seen people who follow him? Are you on Twitter?
Well, not what they say about him, but look at the coverage they give him. I mean, all he has to do is tweet something. It leads the news. He talks about Michael Jackson on CNN. He's on TMZ about Michael Jackson. I mean, Donald Trump is a media-created candidate. He's really not done a lot of paid media. He's only used the earned media to get his message out. He has a symbiotic relationship with the media. They love him. He loves them back, and he's been using them for his entire campaign to build his candidacy.
So then why tonight, Senator Brown, with perhaps the media and the orchestrated attack, not just with the media, but Trump's people will tell you it's a coordination between the media and the establishment in an effort to stop him every turn, turning his words around, asking him gotcha questions, baiting him over and over again in an attempt to derail his candidacy.
Well, first of all, if you've ever run a campaign, I did 13, 11 and 2, and that doesn't include primaries. There is a media bias in certain parts of the country. I mean, you know it, I know it. I've been subjected to it. He's called the media out, I think, more prolifically than many others. That being said, I think the battle is more between the so-called establishment and Donald Trump, because what I'm seeing is there is a tremendous amount of unity with the Republicans. It's just not the establishment Republicans. It's the.
Well, aren't they the Republicans, or they don't count anymore?
No. With all respect, I have a lot of great friends who are in the so-called establishment, but there are a lot of just regular folks who have been lifelong Republicans. There are independents who have always voted Republican, and there are those Reagan Democrats who have been left by the Democratic Party that are coming back. In Boston, 20,000 people left the Democratic Party. They're voting in the Republican primary for, more than likely, Donald Trump, but because of that kind of broad-based appeal. He's talking about things that we all talk about in our living rooms, in our dining rooms. He may be saying it a little bit not as classily and polished as some of these politicians who've been running forever. He's been doing this 7 months.
Would you say it's presidential the way he's talking?
Listen, I and others have said you got to start acting more presidential. I'll continue to tell him that and request that he does it in, you know, a different style. I think when we get through this night, I think you're going to see a shift and hopefully a refining and addressing more of the issues. I don't like this infighting, because they're all great people. They're all good people, and the eye on the prize is the presidency, and to have the so-called establishment say that under no circumstances are they going to vote for him, well, then guess what? Bernie Sanders is going to be the president of the United States, or Hillary Clinton. Morgan,
you know, they say that one of the first rules of media is that any press is good press, right? So it really doesn't matter. Certainly Donald Trump has gotten perhaps $1 billion. When they figured this out, $1 billion worth of so-called free/earned media. Brilliant. I guess with that, you got to take the pros and the cons. I mean, I look at it that ultimately he comes out on the better of this, because if you're talking about him on TMZ and other places where you normally don't reach, guess what? That's when these 20,000 Democrats see you for the first time, and maybe they're lured in by your message.
You're exactly right. I mean, listen, whomever comes out of this convention as the nominee is going to face a ton of scrutiny. So whatever you're facing in the primary, the Clinton campaign is going to lob that at you times a million. The thing that I would, though, just slightly disagree with Senator Brown is I think that you have to, the establishment is a bit more nuanced than just the establishment. I think you have, like, the Mitch McConnell, you know, Lindsey Graham sort of establishment in Washington, which is a clear lane. But you also have another set of what I would call conservative establishment. These are Eric Erickson from the Insurgent, Bill Kristol from the Weekly Standard, National Review. These people are as conservative as it gets, who have come out against Donald Trump. So what is he going to have to do if he has a big win tonight, and if he does come out indeed the victor after the nomination? There's got to be some sort of realization that you do need the party apparatus to help you with the get out the vote efforts, to help you with the campaigns. So there's going to have to be some sort of reckoning where he has to understand that he can't give everybody the middle finger.
Well, let me ask you about that, Katrina, because early on when Donald Trump suggested a third-party run, the GOP pressed really hard for him to sign this pledge, and now it feels like the GOP they're the ones who are not ready to uphold the pledge.
Well, hence the rise of Donald Trump. I mean, this is what we've been dealing with. I'm part of that conservative, if you will, establishment who is supporting Donald Trump for that reason. We've had 2 election cycles where the people have been left out of the process. This establishment, whether it's conservative or regular Republican.
When you say they were left out, I can see you saying, hey, we voted in the Republicans and they didn't live up to their promises, but how was anyone left out of the process?
On the primary process, Charles, we've seen all of the money, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars spent against conservative candidates in the last 2 election cycles. These guys have been able to essentially shove their pick down our throats, and they've lost twice now. And to add that to winning in some of the Senate races and congressional races has done nothing to affect the advance of conservative legislation or even stop liberal legislation from being passed. And that's where we are today. So what you're seeing is a fundamental rejection by a lot of people. We have establishment Republicans on our side. We have conservative Republicans on our side. We've had elections that have proven that we do have some of those people on our side, and we're going to continue to do that moving forward.